The United States and Bahrain are expected to sign a strategic security and economic agreement this week. According to the Axios news site, the deal will vastly upgrade Washington's security commitment to Bahrain. The kingdom is just 100 miles across the Persian Gulf from Iran. For more on that, we can go to Washington and our senior U.S. correspondent Mike Wagenheim. Mike, is it likely then that this deal will be signed next week?
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. In fact, the Prime Minister from Bahrain is scheduled to head to Washington to sign that deal, likely to meet with some high-level Biden administration officials as well, including Secretary of State Tony Blinken, and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, and possibly Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin as well. And keep in mind, Laura, this is kind of an in-between deal here. You know, there have been prior security and military agreements between the United States and Bahrain. Bahrain is a non-NATO major ally, which doesn't involve promises of, mutual defense per se, but certainly gives Qatar advantages, Bahrain advantages in terms of things like contract priority, weapons priorities, and things of that nature. But this might go a little bit further than that, not necessarily a NATO-style agreement where one has to come to the aid of another should they be attacked, but more of a promise of some sort of other assistance or guidance in the event of an imminent attack. We don't know the full details as of yet, but certainly it would be further along in terms of a defense and economic agreement than we've seen before between these two nations, Laura. And it really goes to show at this point, not only is Bahrain concerned with Iran's threatening presence in the region, and certainly some developments as of late with Iran now claiming Bahraini territory once again after giving up that claim for many decades, but it goes to show as well that the United States wants to reassure allies in the region that it has their back and that they don't need to turn to places like Russia and China, and that America can still maintain its footprint in the Middle East, even though it might not have as many troops physically on the ground as it used to.
Right, and Mike, can we read this as a sign of just how concerned Bahrain is about the threat from Iran, and that the Biden administration is taking that threat seriously?
I think this goes to show this is part and parcel here of how the U.S. aims to make sure that its Gulf allies are protected. With the Biden administration kind of retreating footprint-wise from the region, there's been a lot of consternation amongst its Gulf allies. We've seen that play out with Saudi Arabia. The United Arab Emirates certainly was disappointed, and that's using the term lightly, with the Biden administration's response to terror attacks against the Emirates early on in the Biden admin's term in the White House. So this is now part of that reassurance toward Gulf allies. Hey, we're still there. We'll still protect you. And Bahrain, very concerned now with Tehran again making claims about its ownership, its sovereignty over Bahraini territory. It claims that they long ago gave up on, but now are resurfacing once again, much to the anger of the Bahrainis. So this is certainly a mutually beneficial partnership here, and a mutually beneficial agreement, it looks like, between the United States and the Bahrainis, as both sides appear to get something that they want and need at this point in time.
And Mike, on the subject of the U.S. and its allies in the Gulf, I mean, we've just had President Biden sitting down at the G20 summit and shaking hands, not giving a fist bump, but shaking hands with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. I'm just wondering, how was that covered back in the U.S.?
Everybody likes to break down every little nuance of that particular relationship. There are so many undertones to it that every wink, every hand gesture, the body posture is broken down along the lines of what does it mean? Who's really in power here? Who has the leverage? I think to that extent it played out was, okay, we're not back to square one. Obviously, there's still some tension in the relationship, but at least it's a working relationship at this point in time. Both sides have kind of figured out where the other one stands. It's not the dynamic it used to be, this security for oil paradigm in which both sides just kind of knew their roles. Times have changed. I think MBS certainly figured that out. I think the Biden administration is starting to figure that out as well, and it kind of played out in terms of how the Saudis were incorporated into this new economic and trade corridor that was announced at the G20 summit. I think everybody is starting to understand the new Middle East at this point, even if they're at some point still stuck in the old ways, as the Biden admin tends to be at times.